Chapter 1. I have the power of God and anime on my side. This is ridiculous. Yeah, but you have to learn how to live with it. To say that I'm in a weird situation right now would be an absolute understatement. I had just died from a heart attack, and suddenly, I was on top of this mountain with a guy that looks exactly like me, except that he wasn't wearing a hospital gown like I was, but was instead wearing a three-piece black suit. This weird guy had just told me that he was going to reincarnate me in another world. So, I died, and you found me interesting enough to reincarnate into another world? Like a goddamn Ice Guy protagonist? I said. I thought you liked Ice Guy. Why are you so irritated? He replied. Liking something doesn't mean that I want it to happen to me. I shouted, but after a few deep breaths, I just sighed. Well, I can't really do anything about it. Lay it on me. Where are you reincarnating me, and what do you want me to do? Straight to the point. This being said, I refuse to call him a god for now, since he hasn't really introduced himself as such yet. First, this is the world where I'll be reincarnating you in. He pulled out a manga from his pocket, and I was surprised by it. My Hero Academia? Really? I exclaimed incredulously. I mean, I like the manga, but this is where you'll be reincarnating me into? It was a random choice, and it landed there. They said. I mean, there are worse worlds to land on, so I guess it isn't that bad. I sighed again. So what's the catch? Oh, perceptive, aren't you? He said. I'm not stupid. Nothing is ever truly free in this world. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. I told him. The being started to laugh. You're right. The being gleefully said. Don't worry, it isn't that hard. All you need to do is entertain me. Entertain you? Exactly. I want you to bring me entertainment with your actions in that world. They answered. In exchange, I'll give you whatever power you want, though of course, it has to take the form of a quirk, or at least something similar to a quirk. So you're giving me a power that only looks like a quirk? Yes. It's simply a supernatural ability that appears and almost acts like a quirk. Think of it as a quirk that wouldn't affect your body. That's all. I fell silent and began to think. Putting a person who has read a manga into that manga and giving them power is always entertaining. So I honestly thought that what he requested of me was quite redundant. However, when I read between the lines of what he said, I realized that there was more to the request. You want me to change canon, don't you? You really are perceptive. The being grinned. I made the right choice with you. Yes, you cannot follow the canon story. You have to create your own. Which means I'm being reincarnated as Midoriya Izuku. Huh? I'm used. I mean, this is the only way I can change the story, isn't it? I need to be the protagonist. That's right. So, what is your ability going to be? They asked. I then explained what my ability is to him, as well as specifics, and by the end of it, he burst out laughing. Man, you don't hold back, don't you? They said. I need to put restrictions on that. I hope the restrictions aren't too much. I made it specific for a reason. Yeah, you were avoiding a monkey's paw situation. Don't worry about that. I may like my entertainment, but I'm not mean. I'm glad. I sighed in relief. I do not want a whimsical supernatural being like them messing with me whenever he wants. Oh yeah, about that. Don't worry about it. I'll just be watching everything unfold. If I'll be interfering, it'll be very minimal, and I wouldn't be doing it to mess with you. For example, maybe I'll change some of the games to be played in the sports festival, things like that. I'll also be filling in the blanks of some things that weren't clearly stated in canon. Maybe you'll also be meeting people that weren't there before. The being said as he read my mind very casually. Now then, since we're done here, I'll be reincarnating you. Good luck. After that, they snapped their fingers, and a bright light enveloped me. Welp, time to be a self-insert protagonist in a fanfiction. Oh wow, being a baby sucks. Izuku lamented as he began waving his body around. He was a few months old at this point, and he didn't have control over his body. To be more precise, he couldn't control his body. He was like a passenger, and the body was moving on its own. It looks like that being doesn't want me to be the weirdly mature baby for now, so they didn't give me full control over the body yet. Well, it doesn't matter, it's giving me room to think. And so he did. He began to think about what he wanted to do about the world. He then glanced at the television. It was showing All Might doing an interview after a villain attack. The boy then smiled serenely in his head. He really is so cool. Such an admirable person, truly deserving the title of the #1 hero. As he thought about All Might and the legacy that he brought to this society, his plan as to what he wanted to do in this society became clearer. All Might's legacy is Hero Society itself, the Hero Society that had collapsed within the course of the series. The Hero Society that had collapsed because of the actions of the PLF and Shigaraki. Izuku knew just how flawed this society is. Not only is it being held up by one individual, which if you had read on the life of Alexander the Great, one would know that this arrangement will end poorly for everyone involved, but it had also bred conceit, complacency, and discrimination in society, all hidden under the veneer of the concept of heroes and villains. He may have liked many of the heroes in the series, especially 1A, but he hated Hero Society. Just like the hero killer, huh? He began to think, and after a long deliberation, he came to an answer. I'm going to become a vigilante who would permanently dispose of the world's evils at its source. A vigilante with an ideal. If Hero Society is going to collapse, it's going to be according to my own terms. I'm going to make it collapse with as little bloodshed and chaos as humanly possible, without scum like All for One and Redestro ruining everything. That's what I'll do. Create a harmonious society between heroes and civilians, without the heroes being put into a pedestal. I'm going to make being a hero a duty, not a title. Interesting plan there, buddy. I knew you would be entertaining. Hey, Izuku, can you show me your quirk? A young Bakugo Katsuki asked Izuku, who was practically shaking with excitement. Izuku found it odd how much the boy was being nice to him, but this was still young Katsuki, who hasn't had his ego inflated by decades of misplaced praise. They were both currently 4 years old. Katsuki had his quirk manifest a few days ago, and yesterday, Izuku's has as well, though Izuku already knew when it would happen. This resulted in Katsuki wanting to see Izuku's quirk, so they went to a nearby forest where it's legal to use quirks. Yeah, look, Izuku excitedly said. After this, a bright white mist covered Izuku and began to swirl around him. After a few seconds, a tall blonde man appeared in his place. He was wearing what looked to be battle gear, with a white robe being worn above it. Said white robe had the words "Fourth" inscribed in Japanese written in the back. Whoa, are you that guy from Naruto? Naruto's dad? Katsuki shouted in excitement. Yeah, I can also do this. Izuku, transformed into Minato Namikaze, said then in his hands formed a familiar swirling blue ball of energy. A Rasengan. So cool. It was weird for Izuku to see Katsuki look so excited about something he did, but he didn't pay it any mind. Instead, he threw the Rasengan towards a nearby tree, and it produced the desired effect. We're going to be great heroes with our quirks, Izuku, Katsuki shouted while small explosions in his palms. He smiled a little at that. He was glad that Katsuki may grow up to be a more decent person than Kanon. Because seriously, he sucked. Yeah, we will, Izuku said. Then he remembered something. Oh, and don't tell anyone that I can use those abilities, okay? Mom didn't want anyone to know about what my quirk can do, besides you and Annie Mitsuki. Keep this a secret until we both go to UA, okay? This was actually a partial lie. Izuku had actually told his mother about the truth regarding his reincarnation, and she was very accepting of the truth regarding him as a son, even though he has memories of a previous life. The fact that even I had died young in my past life, only 18 years old, made it easier for her to view me as a child, still. Since she was already aware about the truth, she had been convinced by Izuku that he cannot show off the true extent of his abilities, and so he asked her to go along with this cover story that she was the one who convinced him to hide his abilities. This was also incredibly convenient for Izuku, since he can now read more mature mangas without having to anger his mother, since he is an 18-year-old person inside that body. Katsuki was irritated that Izuku wasn't going to show off his quirk, but he also knew how scary Inko was when she's angry, so he wasn't going to be mad at Izuku for hiding it. That's fine. We'll just be training together in this forest when we have time. Sure. Midoriya Izuku's quirk has a simple concept. It allows him to transform into characters from any Japanese manga, light novel, anime, or video games and use their abilities and equipment at the peak of their power. I'm sure anyone would realize how incredibly powerful that ability is. However, just like any power, it has limits. First, he can only transform into 3 of his favorite characters per series, and they have to be his actual favorite characters. He cannot trick his own ability into making it believe that his favorite is another character to get stronger transformations. Considering that Izuku prefers stronger and smarter characters, though, he doesn't think that this is a problem. Second, he can only transform into 4 characters from 4 different stories together at maximum per day, and it is randomly selected. He didn't know about this particular limitation until he has acquired more characters. The character cannot appear consecutively daily. Third, he can only transform into a character for 10 minutes. This can extend over time, though, as Izuku was able to extend this to 10 minutes and 30 seconds within 6 months of him gaining the quirk. He hopes that he would at least have 15 minutes by the time he gets to UA. A transformation can last the whole day if he didn't use any of that transformation's abilities. The quirk also has other characteristics. For one, he can use the powers of the characters that he can transform into for the day without actually transforming into them, but he can only use their power partially. For example, when he first got Minato, when he wasn't transformed, he can only use Rasengan and Flying Raijin. This meant that he wouldn't be useless in a fight, which he was thankful for. Another characteristic of this ability is the fact that the personality of the character that he's transformed into will mix with his own personality. While the core of his personality and morality will still exist, it may become twisted or warped by the personality of the person he's transformed into. This next characteristic is weird. I had no idea why this guy would add this there, but I found it way too amusing to simply remove, so I let it be there. Essentially, when he transforms into a character, their theme song plays, or a theme song from the anime closely related to the character plays. For example, when there was this one time when he transformed into a Beto Uchiha, his theme song played. He can willingly turn it off if he wants to, because he didn't want to ruin any stealth missions that he'll be participating in. I have no idea why this man put this feature into the ability, but it's interesting, so I let it happen. As for the last characteristic of the quirk, this is supposed to be my theme song. It's so ominous. You were initially a villain, Obita-san. Of course, your theme song would be ominous. Don't remind me of that time, please. Yes, Izuku can also talk to the characters that he can transform into in his mind. Of course, they're not the actual character, they're more like vestiges of that character at the end of their series. Still, this adds another useful feature to fiction reincarnation, which is what Izuku named his quirk. Now, he can get advice from other individuals, and considering that some of them are incredibly intelligent, it is incredibly useful. Now then, let us see what Midoriya Izuku is up to before he enrolls at UA. 6 years old, and I'm already heavily affecting canon. Izuku mused this as he got inside the car, preparing to leave. Right now, he and his mother were about to move to a new city and to a new school, leaving Mizudafu City behind for now. Why are they doing this, one may ask? Well, I need to get in contact with Kendo Itsuka. This all started when Izuku was about 5 years old. Due to the fact that Inko knew that Izuku was older mentally, he was allowed access to the computer to do whatever he wanted there so long as he didn't do any illegal stuff, which Izuku readily agreed with. Because of the nature of his quirk, he needed to read more manga or play more games if he wanted to make himself more powerful. Thankfully, some famous manga, like the Shonen Big 3, survived the dark age of quirks, so he was able to read them no problem. However, he figured that he should prioritize video games first, since he thinks that it would be much more difficult to acquire characters from those. Persona is definitely a great choice. Devil May Cry as well. Wait, what? Izuku saw something that shocked him. Hoyoverse is Japanese in this world? What? Izuku mumbled. Does that mean? He then installed Genshin Impact on the computer, and, without thinking, he logged into his old account in the game. He was shocked to see it working, even though he was in a completely different world. Somehow, he managed to get his account working in this world. Yeah, somehow. Definitely not me using my powers to magically transfer his gaming accounts into this world because I feel bad about him otherwise. Yeah, definitely not me. Anyway, He then quickly found out tomorrow morning that he can also transform into characters that he had gotten in the game. He then looked at his own reflection, and a white-haired girl with long pointed ears and green eyes with strange pupils stared back. Nahida, it's a pleasure to meet you, Midoriya Izuku. He flinched a little when he heard the voice of the young Archon echo in his mind. It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Lady Nahida. Oh, you don't need to be so formal with me. But you're supposed to be an Archon. I can't not show respect to you. After a moment of conversation with said Archon, he asked the one question that he really wanted an answer to. Can I have access to all of the information in this world, even though there's supposed to be no Erminsel here? Yes. The abilities of your transformations seem to adapt to the world, so while the Erminsel doesn't exist here, you can still gain access to all the information of the world. Since that cannot be edited like the Erminsel, the information you will acquire will be more reliable. I see. I guess I'll have to use your power then. I have a lot of information that I need to get. With that, Izuku meditated and proceeded to gain access to the information he needs. Mainly, the location of all of his future classmates in 1A and 1B. He did this for one sole purpose. I need to find someone who would become All Might's successor of One for All instead of me. Izuku had no need for the legendary quirk here. Not only is it unnecessary considering his overpowered quirk, but he definitely wasn't worthy of the quirk at this point. He and the original Midoriya Izuku were completely different people. While he has the burning desire to save and help society, as well as assist the heroes, he does not think of himself as heroic. The methods that he will use to achieve his objective were incredibly questionable, so he did not think that he would be deserving of One for All, even if it was handed to him in a silver platter by All Might. This is why he looked for the location of the future students of Class 1A and 1B, to find one who is worthy with One for All using Nahida's power. And after a lot deliberation, he chose the class representative of Class 1B. Not only is her personality suited for it, but her quirk is also a lot more compatible with One for All than, say, Togata Mirios. I honestly have no idea why Nightai thought he would be a good successor for the quirk. After this, I also have to think of a method to make sure that Itsuka's lifespan wouldn't be endangered by the quirk from the excess energy it has. That would be something that I need to be worried about later. And that's why he requested for his mother to transfer schools. Katsuki was irritated by it, but the two just promised that they would see each other in UA. They even did it in front of the rising sun while having their fists bumped. What the hell is this, Black Clover? He sighed. At least Katsuki was going to be a better person. Or maybe he simply wouldn't be looking down on him specifically. Aldera may corrupt this guy still. I need to make sure that he wouldn't turn out like he did in the original. I need to be a little cruel here. And cruel he was. To do this, he requested one last spar with Katsuki, in which he proceeded to thoroughly kick his ass. When the boy asked, irritated, why he did that, Izuku responded seriously. Because I wanted to prove that I'm stronger than you, Katsuki. If I return here and I find out that you've been mean to other people because they're weaker than you, I'll kick your ass harder. That's a promise. Katsuki nodded at this. While he does not think that this would completely change his behavior, he can only hope that it would reduce his arrogance, even by a little bit. With the way Aldera seemed to inflate this guy, I'm almost certain there are a few members of the MLA running around here. For now, Izuku wouldn't concern himself with that. He really didn't need to. It would simply be way too early for such a thing. It's nice to meet you. The cheerful voice of a young Kendu Itsuka greeted him as he sat down. Nice to meet you too, Kendu-san. Izuku smiled as he greeted her back. By some strange coincidence, and definitely not me interfering with anything, these two became seatmates. Now, Izuku would have an easier time getting close to the girl, and hopefully, she will be the one to inherit One for All when the time comes. This makes me sound so insincere, but I do genuinely want to be friends with her. What's your quirk, Kendu-san? The boy asked. He, of course, already knew what her quirk is, but he had to keep up appearances. My quirk is called Big Fist. Look, she then inflated her hand into a massive size, for their age at least, and swung it around. That's a cool quirk. Izuku commented sincerely. While he did think that it was a very simple quirk, that doesn't mean that it's a bad quirk. In fact, in Izuku's opinion, simpler quirks are much easier to master, and therefore much more troublesome. Izuku then remembered that during the inter-class battle, Itsuka was shown being capable of damaging tungsten, which is one of the strongest metals in the planet. He instinctively shuddered as he thought about how powerful she would become if she ever got one for all. Really? The girl said. Yeah, it's a quirk that's really good for being a hero, Izuku said. Itsuka smiled brightly at Izuku's words. Thank you. I've always wanted to be a hero, so thank you for that. She thanked him sincerely. Oh, really? I also want to be a hero as well, Izuku said, feeling guilty about the fact that he was just saying a half-truth. Then let's be heroes together, Midoriya-san, Itsuka said. Yeah, we'll attend UA together and become great heroes. What about you, Izuku? What's your quirk? If you want me to tell you about my quirk. Izuku then put his index finger on his mouth and smiled mischievously. We have to become best friends. Be best friends? Itsuka was a bit flustered by this. My mom told me that I can only tell my best friends about my quirk. No one else. The boy replied. And mom is scary when she's mad, so I don't want to disobey her. He had seen Inko when she's angry, and he did not want to be in the receiving end of that anger at all costs. After all, he still distinctly remembered the screams of agony that was caused by his mother pulling out one of his testicles. It was not pleasant to watch. Itsuka became silent for a moment before speaking again. Do you want to be friends with me, Midoriya-san? She said. Do you just want to be friends, just so you can know what my quirk is, Kendu-san? He replied, though since he was already aware of her personality, the boy was simply teasing her. Yeah, and no, I really just want to be friends with you, she said. Then let's be friends, Kendu-san, he said. After all, we are going to become heroes, right? Yeah, she responded. I'm sorry that I can't tell you about my quirk right now, Ken. Itsuka, since we're going to be friends, call me Itsuka. That quickly. Then you can call me Izuku, Itsuka-san. There, much better, she said. And it's fine if you don't want to reveal your quirk for now. Your mom told you not to, right? Yeah, mom told me not to. Then it's all right. Just tell me once we're actually best friends, okay? Yeah, I will. This is a huge success. I'm looking forward to the future, Itsuka-san. Right now, Izuku is stressed. Totally stressed. The boy had just finished writing his notes regarding what happened today, as well as modifications for his plans in the future. Considering that he had a lot planned, he wanted to take some notes on it. Of course, he knew how dangerous it was if anyone found these. Even if he was only 6-year-old currently, which may mean that if his plan moved on to its public phase now, their organization will not be traced back to him. Since he was a child, he still didn't want anyone to find out, especially the pro-heroes. This is why Izuku had to put all of his notes in self-made ciphers, with the key known only to him and him alone. He put all of his plans and observations in there, as well as all of the important information regarding the world. It would be disastrous if this got into the wrong hands. Right now, though, Izuku wasn't concerned with this. No, he was concerned with a certain dilemma that he has recently thought about. Should he save Toga Himiko, Babaiga Jean, and Eri early or not? This was a dilemma that he was glad to address now, yet one that he was not looking forward to facing. After all, both sides of the argument have merit. First, Toga. Izuku is aware that she is probably the easiest one to save for now. After all, her problem is simply her abusive and toxic family. Take her away from that family and give her a loving and caring family, and that would solve the problem, especially early on. Second, Babaiga. He is trickier. His problem isn't something that can be put into words simply. The mental issue that he faces with his clones was something that cannot be solved so simply. However, since Izuku knew how he managed to overcome that problem in the original canon, he has a solid idea on how to save the adult. There is one wrinkle to Izuku wanting to save the two. However, if he does want to save the two, this meant that there will be open positions in the League of Villains that anyone can take. This also meant that the League would have an element of unpredictability to them that would be present due to the two new members of the League. If he really wanted to save those two, he'll have to prepare for the unknown factor that the two new members represent. Of course, he can use Nahida's power to find out who they are, but he didn't want to rely on a gamble to get what he wanted in this situation. The final one. Third is Eri. She is probably the trickiest one here in Izuku's opinion. While she is probably the easiest one to save in theory, there are a lot of logistical problems with trying to save her. If he tries to save her as a baby, he'll be charged with kidnapping a baby, and no amount of justification can save him from being pursued by the police and the pro-heroes. If he does save her after she's been taken by Overhaul, but before the work studies, then Izuku will have to contend with the shy Hasaikai, who will definitely be targeting him and his family in order to get to Eri. In short, the most optimal route for Izuku was to wait until work studies in order to save Eri. Yet, Izuku really didn't want that girl to suffer more than she already has. She wants the girl to have a peaceful, normal childhood, without having experienced any pain. This is why he was currently under a dilemma. You know, Midoriyakin, I'm pretty sure that's not the only problem with saving Ericon. Oh, and what is it? Her quirk. How are you going to solve her little quirk issue? Her problem isn't just a little issue. I never thought you would downplay it like that. I would never. Anyway, don't you think it would be better if you just saved her when they either approach you for help or if you happen to be nearby to help them? That's actually not a bad choice. See, look, even if you had the knowledge and the power, sometimes saving people, if done at the wrong time, would cause more harm than good. I see. Thank you for the advice. You're welcome, Midoriyakin. Izuku then sighed as he finished talking to one of the character's vestiges. I'm going outside. I need to unwind a little, he muttered. I don't think a 6-year-old kid should be suffering this much stress, he said jokingly to himself. He was taking a walk around the neighborhood to relax, something that he has done before. It was quite peaceful here, he noted, compared to the bustling city that they were once in. He did have a lot of thoughts running through his mind, but he decided not to address them for now. He's here to relax. Unfortunately, he wouldn't be relaxing for long. Please, help me. MLMM. Be quiet, brat. Yeah, we're going to have some fun with you. Is that what I think it is? Without even a second thought, he ran to the source of the sound. While he did this, white mist covered him, and he began transforming into the character that he was talking to. He made sure to turn off the music before it played. Go ahead, Midoriyakin. This is something that you wanted to do, right? Yes. After he had fully transformed, he made sure that no one else was watching. Then he took a peek into the scene in the alley. Izuku was appalled by what he saw. He saw 2 grown men trying to forcefully, how do I put this? They were trying to commit a crime on a child. An unspeakable one. Yikes. He did notice that the child was fighting back by producing some sort of black flame from her right arm. Well, this is good practice for when I start killing villains. If anyone deserves to die, it's them. Remember, Midoriyakin, if you dodge, don't let them cut you. If you protect someone, you don't let them die. If you attack, you kill. Awaken, Benaheim. He then walked towards the 2 men casually. That's not a very nice thing to do to a lady, Izuku said, especially someone so young. This has nothing to do with you, Scram. One of the thugs tried to shoo him away, but Izuku merely chuckled. Bakudo number 63, Seijo Sabaku. Without warning, a bright yellow chain surrounded the man who spoke, causing him to be bound and subdued. What the? Bakudo number 79, Kyushirbari. The other was also subdued, this time by 9 miniature black holes. The 2 men were stunned by what just happened, but before they could say anything more, Izuku struck. Razor, Benaheim. A crimson slash fired from the sword, cutting the men in half. Thankfully, the girl had closed her eyes so that she couldn't see the 2 die. Izuku approached the girl, who looked like they were of the same age. The girl was wearing a gray dress, although it looked disheveled from what just happened earlier. Her hair had 2 colors that were split evenly from the middle. Her hair was black on the right side and white on the left. Her eyes also had a different color, black on the right side and silver on the left. He smiled at her once he was in view of her. Then he said the words he always wanted to say. Don't worry, you're safe now. Chapter 2, Birth of the Enlightened. Where am I? Kuroshiro Hamura had a bad day. A really bad day. Well, honestly, it's been a long time since she had a good day. The day that she got her quirk, she had been excited. It's a cool fire quirk. It was black and white as well. It was awesome. Her family did think of that as well. They called her a future hero, one that would do great things in the future. They all loved and cared for her as well. Up until a month after she got her quirk. On that day, she was practicing with her black fire to control it, since she has already mastered her white flames, and she was doing well for a few minutes. It didn't last long. She found out how devastating her black fire was when it accidentally hit someone. The black fire consumed the unfortunate individual, and no matter how much people tried to put out the fire wouldn't go out. It was a raging, unstoppable force. That person died a few seconds later. After that, her family turned on her. They didn't think of her as a loved one or a hero anymore. No, they think she's a villain now. A curse. A monster. A murderer. It didn't take long for the child's life to take a turn for the worse. Now, she was being scorned, tormented, and ridiculed. Nobody wanted to be her friend anymore. It didn't help that her emotional state was intrinsically tied to the control of her quirk, so she lost control of her quirk oftentimes, which people attributed to her becoming more and more of a villain. It was a vicious cycle, one that she thought wouldn't break. Until today, that is. Today, her flames had hurt someone again, so she was kicked out of the house again and was forced to live in the streets. She thought that it was going to be the same, with her sleeping on the cold sidewalk, when she was suddenly assaulted by two men. She thought that she would die that time, so now, she was surprised that she was alive. And the reason was this man in front of her. Well, you're currently inside my hideout. She looked around. She was currently inside a small, quaint room that had stone walls, laying in an admittedly very soft bed. There were a lot of papers and notebooks strewn around, all written in some sort of code, and there was a computer on the right side on the room. There was also a lot of packages of food in the corner of the room. She also noticed the abundant number of manga and light novels put in a large shelf. The weirdest part of the room, however, was the occupant. It was a blond man wearing a strange hat and green clothing. He was holding a cane and a paper fan. He had a smile on his face that was very questionable. She recognized who it was. She's read the manga before. Urahara. Kisuke? You recognize me, he said. You've read the manga or watched the anime, huh? Sorry, I'm not Urahara. My name is Izuku. This is just a part of my quirk. What about you? What's your name? Kuroshiro. Hamura. She answered. What happened to them? Izuku adopted a sad yet determined expression. They're gone, he said. Hamura knew what he meant, and she was shocked. You killed them? Do you think they deserve to live? Izuku asked. Hamura simply looked down, knowing what her answer will be. I'm just surprised, the girl said, before noticing that Izuku's hands were shaking. I'm just glad that the first person that I had killed were evil people like them. Izuku said. It was much easier for me to accept killing them. You say that as if you plan to kill more people, the girl remarked. I will, in the future, he answered, much to the shock of the girl. Before the conversation can continue, though, the boy began to get covered by mist. The girl was then shocked to see a boy about her age sitting in place of Urahara Kisuke. You're the same age as me, she asked. I'm older than I look, Izuku answered before offering her a rice ball. Do you want one? You don't look so good right now. Immediately, the girl took the rice ball and began devouring it. Izuku chuckled at the sight, causing the girl to grumble, but she continued eating it. Did you like the rice balls I made? Izuku asked. Wait, you made these? They're so good, Hamura shouted as she continued eating the rice balls Izuku gave her. I worked hard on them, he said. Anyway, are you doing all right now, Kuroshiro-san? No physical injuries or anything? No, thank you for saving me, she said before bowing. It's fine. I just did what a true hero would do, he said, as he grabbed a ramen cup and began eating it. Anyway, I saw those black flames earlier. Is that your quirk? Hamura flinched. She knew it was an innocent question, but she disliked her quirk. It's hurt so many people. Why wise, but I don't want to tell you about it. Izuku could recognize her insecurities regarding her quirk clearly. It was obvious to him that her quirk had been less well received by society, either because it looks villainous or because she's hurt people with it because she lost control. Judging people by their quirks, this is why I hate hero society, Izuku muttered, but Hamura clearly heard him. You hate heroes? Hamura asked with a sad tone on her voice. Even though she had been ridiculed by the people around her for having a villainous quirk, she still loves heroes and wants to be a hero herself. Izuku noticed the tone of her voice, and he smiled. This girl is tougher than she looks. Nah, I like heroes. I hate the society that worships them. Izuku said. People automatically judge a person based on how heroic their quirk is. People with strong quirks are automatically heroes, while those with villainous quirks, weak quirks, or even quirkless people are all ridiculed, shunned, and outright neglected by society. It's horrible. But I did something bad with my. Did you hurt someone with your quirk? Izuku cut her off. Did you kill someone with it perhaps, because you lost control of your quirk? Hamura flinched again at the word kill, but just nodded. Izuku sighed. Hiroshiro-san, I killed those men earlier to protect you. Does that make me a villain? And no. Hamura vehemently denied. You saved me. There's no way you're a villain. Then why should you be called a villain for killing people when you didn't have any control over your actions? Hamura fell silent, knowing that Izuku was right. Izuku sighed once more. Calling you a villain just because you did something wrong even if you didn't mean it. It's like everyone believes that heroes can do no wrong. They're humans just like us. They make mistakes, they can do horrible things, they have things they like and hate. The fact that people think that they will always do the right thing is just sickening. This view of society on heroes is what produces fake heroes. Fake heroes? Hamura asked. Heroes only doing hero work because they wanted to be really popular. The heroes who actually doesn't care about saving or helping other people. Izuku said, they're all bad people who make it look like they're good people. They're basically doing what All Might would never do, even though all heroes should be like All Might. Izuku was chagrined that he was emulating the ideals of the hero killer Stain. He never once agreed with his methods, even if he did agree with his ideals. His accidental association with the League of Villains caused a lot of people who followed his ideals to join the League, inadvertently making both Shigaraki and All for One stronger. Stain annoyed Izuku on a level that he himself didn't think was possible. But why? Shouldn't all heroes be like All Might? Hamura asked. Unfortunately, that is just how the world works right now, Izuku said sadly, and I want to change that. Huh. I want to make a world where only true heroes exist. A world where no one is judged by their quirks. A world where no one is neglected and tormented, whether they have a quirk or not. That's the world I want to create. Hamura, if she was being honest, was captivated by Izuku's words. A world where she doesn't suffer because of her quirk. She wants to live in a world like that. To hear Izuku, her hero, say that he wanted to create a world like that made her extraordinarily happy. Oh, we strayed too far from the original question. What's your quirk? Hamura, now knowing that Izuku wouldn't scorn her, decided to take a leap of faith. A leap of faith that she would later be glad she took. It's called black and white flames. I can produce and control black and white flames. In my right hand, I can produce black flames which are hotter than normal flames, and they are also harder to put out, making it extremely deadly. In my left hand, I can produce white flames, which heals people and can serve as a barrier. I only have a limited amount of black or white fire that I can produce at all times, but I can also reabsorb any black or white fire that I produced and also consume normal fire as well for nourishment and for refill. She explained her quirk. Wait, is your black fire basically the same as Amaterasu? Izuku asked. The one from Naruto? It's similar, Hamura said. I have even seen it burn other flames. That's so cool, Izuku said, shocking Hamura once more. She didn't expect anyone to think of her quirk as cool. Besides, you have white flames that can heal people. Man, people talk nonsense sometimes. You have a cool quirk. All you have to do is control it. Really? Really? Hamura beamed at Izuku. Finally, after so long, someone finally accepted her. And if Izuku manages to build that world that he wants to build, then many more will accept her. She made her choice right then and there. I want to join you, she said. Huh. I want to join you in changing the world for the better. Izuku was speechless. While creating an organization to further his goals did enter his mind, he did not expect someone to try and join him, especially this early. And she's supposed to be 6 or 7. This girl's more mature and tougher than I gave her credit for. Fine then, we'll change the world together, and with other people that will think like us. Yeah. The two shook hands, and it was the beginning of a long-lasting friendship. Or maybe something more. We'll see. 3 years have passed since this incident has happened, and Izuku is now 9 years old. After a discreet yet swift action from Izuku, Hamura's parents were arrested for child abuse, and Hamura was put into the custody of the Kinda family after they found out about the situation and decided to adopt her, though Hamura wanted to keep her surname for now. After that, Itsuka, Izuku, and Hamura became the best of friends. Itsuka had accepted the dual-color-haired girl despite her quirk, which made Hamura happier than ever before. Izuku had also confided in the two about the truth regarding his past life and his quirk, and while even he knew this was an odd decision, he at least wanted to trust these two. Fortunately, the two had accepted him regardless of his past, though they started calling him Izukunii after that. As for the organization that Izuku wanted to make, he was pretty shocked at how fast it grew. Within the span of a year, the organization grew to having 12,000 members all over Japan. The boy was surprised that it even grew that large within this span of time, considering that he was doing the recruitment in secret given that, of course, he was currently a child. What interested him more was the fact that most of these individuals were quirkless. It seems that part of his agenda to make the quirked and the quirkless get an equal treatment was more effective at drawing in people than he thought. Of course, while the number was massive, he knew that the organization was not in any position to make any major changes within the current society, so Izuku had instructed all the members to lay low, grow stronger, and prepare. He also promised that they will make their move within the decade, since Izuku was aware that making them wait indefinitely is going to erode the organization, so he decided to set a definite promise. He also ordered them to report any quirk supremacist groups or individuals that they see, so that when the group does strike, they will be the first to go. Izuku also knew the necessity of having elite members in the group in case of any massive confrontation between them and the League of Villains and the PLF in the future, but decided to leave that problem for later, since he wanted to establish the group first. As for the name, he tentatively called it the Equal Rights Front or the ERF for now, until they actually get a proper name for the organization. And that's what happened to Izuku within the last 3 years. So what is Izuku doing now? Shambles. As Itsuka was about to strike Izuku, Izuku erected a room and switched places with Hamura. Hamura used her white flames to block Itsuka's attack, while Izuku watched in amusement. That's right, the three were having a sparring match in a private land owned by the Kinda family. He has law today, huh? Hamura muttered. He has one of the troublesome ones today. Itsuka commented while running towards Izuku. He hasn't even transformed yet. You guys don't want me to transform into anyone today. He smirked, then symbols suddenly appeared in his face. Be blasted away. While Hamura said before getting, well, blasted away along with Itsuka. The two then landed on a large tree. Inumaki? Itsuka asked, but Hamura shook her head. No, Yudo Okatsu, she said. Well, at least it's not Gojo Satoru. Itsuka chuckled darkly. Always optimistic. Itsuka-kun? Hamura also chuckled and threw some black flames at Izuku. The boy simply stood there and shouted. Azathoth. A black void appeared and ate Hamura's flames. Both the girls got nervous as they saw this. Honestly, I'm glad this light novel survived. He has Rimuru Tempest today. We don't want him transforming, after all, Hamura said. Your power really is unfair, Izukunii. Hamura groaned. It's definitely unfair, Itsuka added. Both of them were lying on the floor, exhausted after their spar with Izuku. With that quirk, I think you can beat All Might, Itsuka remarked. Like I would actually try to do that. Izuku shook his head. Yeah, I'm glad that you want to be a hero with that quirk, Itsuka said, still exhausted. Both Hamura and Izuku glanced at each other. While Izuku wants to save the world, he was definitely not going to become a hero with his quirk. He was going to be closer to a vigilante, but he didn't want to tell that to Itsuka, not right now at least. Yeah, Izuka said, lying. There is one minor problem with the quirk, actually. A minor problem? Yeah, I'm quite restricted in the manga or light novel that I can read with this. Oh, Hamura said. You can't read any romance or slice of life manga with your quirk. That's right, Homurican. Izuku said. For example, if I read something like quintessential quintuplets, then I'll be able to transform into 3 characters from those series. Since all of the characters there have no special powers whatsoever, I'm essentially quirkless with that transformation. I need to only read manga where the characters have some sort of superpowers, or else I would be making my power incredibly risky to use. Of course, this is only a minor problem, but a problem for me nonetheless. Imagine if one of your favorite characters was someone like Yawatch, though. Hamura said. You would be ridiculously powerful. That's an understatement. Izuku said. It's just unfortunate that. I see. He was remembering that conversation. A year after Izuku met Hamura and they made that promise together, a question popped into his head. I wonder if that light novel survived. The one where the protagonist had that instant death ability. Nope, it didn't survive. Wait, you're contacting me right now? Yeah, I am contacting you because I want to tell you a simple bit of information here. I am banning you from using certain characters. Understandable, and I'm guessing Takatu Yogairai is one of them. Indeed. I mean, if you transformed into that guy, you'll finish this story in less than a day, and that wouldn't be entertaining at all. I feel like you're only banning characters that will make the story boring. Exactly. Isn't that way too arbitrary? I mean, you allowed Rimuru to be used, and he is powerful enough to destroy entire goddamn universes. Yeah, I know, but it's entertaining. Yep, you only care about entertainment, don't you? Well, I guess that's fine. These characters are enough. Just give me an entire list of characters I'm not allowed to use. Sure thing. The list was indeed given, and it consists of characters that would render the entire thing completely pointless, either because they're too powerful with no proper weaknesses, or they just break the world automatically just by existing. Yawatch is a great example of this, since Almighty can just end the story before it even begins by changing the future, and the only way to stop it is with that plot convenience arrow. Natsuki Subaru is also another example. While Return by Death isn't portrayed in the best of lights in the story, if given to a sufficiently powerful individual, the ability itself will become more of a blessing than a curse. At least Rimuru can hold back. That's why there are characters that are, well, banned from use. Well, shit. A day has passed since the sparring match, and Izuku had just woken up. The boy swore internally as he looked into the mirror, and instead of his face staring back, the face of a white-haired girl with multiple red pupils stared back. I didn't transform, and I can't go back into my original appearance. What's going on? It's one of the changes I put in your quirk. What? Yeah, you see, I wanted to have some fun with your quirk, so I added some recurring mutations to it, namely, permanent state and extra state. Okay. Permanent state essentially locks you for an entire transformation in a day, though you can use that character's abilities for the whole day, while extra state gives you 5 characters to transform into in a day instead of just the normal 4 transformations per day. So today is permanent state, then? Yes. Oh well, at least it's Shirari today, one of the more powerful transformations I can access. Izuku sighed, knowing that this day will be a lot more troublesome than he thought. Izukuni, why are you transformed? Hamura asked while they were walking to school. My quirk mutated. Now I'm stuck in this form. I sure hope that I can transform back into my normal appearance tomorrow. Izuku replied. Of course, Izuku knew that he will turn back to normal tomorrow, but if this was a normal quirk, he shouldn't know that, so he lied. So should I call you Izukuni instead? Hamura teased. Why don't you try it then? Izuku said while staring at her with his now red eyes. Hamura looked freaked out by the multitude of pupils she had. So that's why you have your eyes closed. It would be good for scaring people off. Izuku chuckled. Anyway, we should keep going to school now. Of course, she said, before both of them continued on to school. Is that you, Izukuni? Itsuka asked Izuku as he sat down on his chair. Yes, it's me, he said. His other classmates were also staring at Izuku unabashedly. Why are you transformed today, Midoriya-san? One of the girls in the class asked. Izuku knew that it would be hard to conceal his quirk as he gets older, so he just gave the cover story that his quirk allows him to only transform into fictional characters, but he cannot use their abilities. That way, he wouldn't catch the attention of the HPSC or any villains. I don't know, my quirk mutated somehow, he said, while pretending to stare at his hands. I just hope this isn't permanent. Why are your eyes closed anyway? Izuku, excited to see their reactions, opened his eyes. As expected, the multiple pupils that his transformation currently had scared the class, while he simply giggled in amusement. Why does he have to transform into such a cute girl? One of his male classmates muttered, though since he had enhanced senses as Shirari, he can hear them. You know, considering that my body is also changing with the transformations, I'm currently living the dream of every Rule 34 artists. Heh. You know, Izuku, you're not wrong, you lucky bastard. While everyone was freaked out by the transformation, Itsuka simply sighed in exasperation. You're always so mischievous, Izukunia. This is quite an unlucky day for you, isn't it? A fox-eared girl said to a criminal who tried to steal from both Hamura and Izuku, still transformed into Shirari. Thank you for saving us, Izuku said as he looked at this girl who was clearly the same age as both of them. Ah, it's nothing, the girl replied. Are you a vigilante perhaps? Hamura asked. No, I. Don't say anything, Kane. Another girl appeared from behind the fox-eared girl. She appeared to be in her teenage years and had black hair and brown eyes. Beside her is a boy who's of the same age as the girl, who had gray hair. Akin and Izan, Yuzurunikin. The girl called out to the two of them. Meanwhile, the criminal, who had been subdued by the fox girl earlier, tried to escape, but before anyone can react, Izuku used threads to further capture the enemy. Kane, don't be so careless. The black-haired girl, Akane, reprimanded the fox girl after seeing what happened. Sorry. Meanwhile, Izuku was highly interested in the three individuals in front of him, so he decided to secretly use his appraisal skill on them to see if it would yield any results. What happened was interesting. I see. All three of them are members of the ERF, huh? Ninjio Yuzuru, Kitsune Kane and O? It's Ichino Zakane, one of the most influential quirkless people in the organization. Okay, so who exactly are you three? Hamura asked. The three looked at each other, trying to figure out what to say to her. Eventually, the three introduced themselves. Hello, I'm Kitsune Kane. My quirk allows me to conjure illusions. She's lying. Her quirk makes her capable of producing hallucinations through eye contact. What a clever girl. My name is Ninjio Yuzuru, and my quirk allows me to physically control people and objects with my mind. He's also lying. He uses strings to control anything, not his mind. I'm Ichino Zakane. I'm quirkless. Oh, you're quirkless? It's nice to finally meet a quirkless person face-to-face, Hamura said happily. The three were taken aback by her reaction. You're not going to insult me for being quirkless? Why would I? It doesn't really matter. In my opinion, everyone should be treated equally, whether they have a quirk or not, she said. The three were still stunned. However, they also looked hopeful. Izuku had an idea as to what they were going to do. You think everyone should be equal? Yeah. You believe that nobody should be discriminated against? No, I don't think so. Okay, let me just call someone right now. You really need to join our group, Akane said as she began to dial someone. That someone being Izuku, whose phone rang when the call started coming in. The boy smiled mischievously as three became shocked once more. A leader? Akane asked. Hamura shook her head in amusement. You really like having fun, don't you, Izukuni? She said. It's a pleasure to see that you're actively trying to recruit more members, Ichinos. It's nice to meet you in person, leader. She greeted him while bowing slightly. Didn't you say that you were a man? This is simply a transformation, don't worry about it, he said. Now then, let's go somewhere private, shall we? How are the members doing? Izuku asked Ichinos as they settled into the boys' hideout, which has since expanded since the first time Hamura came here. Out of everyone in ERF, Ichino Zakane is probably the most influential person there. Even though she was quirkless and the fact that she was simply a teenager, her natural charisma and attitude made people flock to her. She was actually the unofficial leader of most of the quirkless individuals in the organization. They're all doing fine, she answered. They don't like the fact that they aren't making a move right now, but I made sure that they understood that we aren't ready yet. Quite right. Izuku nodded. Our group may be large in number, but it's not ready yet. We need to wait. There are also some members that are having doubts about your intentions, she said hesitatingly. Understandable. I haven't really met any of them in person, so they will have doubts. Izuku replied. What do you think I should do to make them trust me? Akane went silent as if trying to think. The other two, Yuzuru and Kane, were also silent, but they seemed to just let Akane do all the talking. After a few moments, Akane spoke. I have a question. How do you plan on changing society? Izuku wasn't surprised at all by the question, as it was something that he had been also trying to answer himself. And thus, he already had an answer. Unfortunately, as much as I want to change things peacefully, I don't think it's possible in our society. So a violent revolution then, Akane said, and Izuku nodded. The girl then sighed, as if she was about to request something big. And she was. Leader, I would like to request something of you. What is it then? Kill Yoroi Musha. Needless to say, everyone was surprised, even Izuku. The top 9 hero, Hamura asked incredulously. Yes, that bastard who calls himself a hero should just suffer and die. Izuku was processing all of this. While he knew that the top-ranked hero only became a hero for the fame and glory, the definition of a fake hero, he didn't think he was so bad that someone wants him to die. What did he do? The green-haired boy, though he doesn't appear like that right now, asked. He was quite hesitant to kill him still. I really don't think he's that bad that he needs to be killed. He refused to rescue my mother from the wreckage of a building that was destroyed by a villain because she was quirkless, she said, her hatred evident in her voice. He even said that it wasn't worth saving someone quirkless as he has nothing to gain from it. When do you want him dead? Izuku said, changing his tune way too quickly. Both Kane and Hamura giggled at this. Preferably within the week. Akane said. I see. What about any criminals that you also want dead? I don't think I should simply kill a fake hero. It would send the wrong message. What about these human traffickers that tried to kidnap Kane yesterday? Yuzuru spoke. I heard that they were part of a child pornography ring. Izuku grinned maniacally, making everyone flinch. Consider it done. What's going on? Yoroi Musha, the number 9 hero, had recently received a call regarding a drug deal happening in a remote location somewhere around the Fukuoka area. Knowing that stopping this would give him further fame, he rushed there immediately on his own. When he did arrive there, though, there was no one inside. He was alone, which made him think that it was a trap. What's happening here? Bakudo number 61, Rikujikoro. 6 blinding rods of light stabbed into the hero, causing him to be bound in place. Before he can react, the caster used another spell. Bakudo number 79, Kyushirbari. The caster used the same black hole spell again. What is this? The hero screamed, both furious and scared as to what was going on. The caster didn't say anything, simply using another spell. An incredibly deadly one. Seeping crest of turbidity. Arrogant vessel of lunacy. Boil forth and deny. Grow numb and flicker. Disrupt sleep. Crawling queen of iron. Eternally self-destructing doll of mud. Unite. Repulse. Fill with soil and know your own powerlessness. Heido number 90, Kuro Hitsuji. A massive black box filled with sinister energy enveloped Yoroi Musha, and sharp black spears proceed to stab the inside of the box. A few seconds later, the box collapsed, revealing the mangled and bloody corpse of the number 9 hero. Now then, let's proceed with those criminals. What the hell is going on? Boss, we're under attack. The building was in chaos. They were just enjoying the day and watching some incredibly forbidden pornographic materials when some of the people there began to scream that the shadows have begun attacking them. Shit, who the hell is attacking us? Me. A voice of a child came out of the darkness. The men began looking around and saw a small male child with a smirk on his face. The men were terrified. Even if this person looked like a child, the sheer presence he was exuding scared them. Who the hell are you? It doesn't matter to you, humans. All you need to know is that you are all going to die. The child's shadow began expanding, and by the end of it, massive red eyes and teeth appeared on the shadow. Now then, let's begin, shall we? Have you found a lead as to who killed them, Sakachi? All Might, the #1 hero, was concerned. After the death of Yoroi Musha, Japan descended into a momentary panic. The fact that such a high-ranking hero was killed on duty made the nation afraid, and All Might had to work hard in order to appease the citizens. This just had to happen after I killed All for One. He groaned. Thankfully, my time limit wasn't reduced very much, but this is truly concerning. The police had frankly no idea who killed the old hero. He was a skilled and powerful fighter, befitting of his rank. The fact that he was killed in such a gruesome manner was definitely horrifying. Whoever you are, I will find you and bring you to justice, he said, or at least, I will find answers from you. After all, you also killed that human trafficking ring that we have been tracking for a long time. While the killer hadn't left a clue regarding their identity, the person had taken credit for the deaths of Yoroi Musha and that child pornography and human trafficking ring who had been destroyed at the same day. He had also given himself a name. What are you after, Verbot der Morgendämmerung? Excellent work, leader, or should I say Verbot? Akane said, smiling happily. Thank you, Izuku said. Now then, have I acquired the trust of the organization yet? Oh, they're all pleased by the results. A lot of members have been hurt by either Yoroi Musha or that trafficking ring, so they're glad that it's gone. The girl said, they're much more willing to wait before making a move now, since it's what you decided, though they did want you to keep taking action like that. Good, and I guess I should oblige them. He said, I'm also going to change the name of the organization. And what's the new name, then? Izuku smiled. From now on, our organization will be the ones to change the world, with peace and with violence. Those who have been oppressed and have seen the darkness and wants to rise above it. We are neither heroes nor villains. We are the enlightened. The Erluktitan. Chapter 3, Harbinger. Izukuni, are you sure that this is a good idea? Hamura was right to be concerned. It has been a year ever since the Erluktitan was officially established now, and Izuku was about to reveal his identity to the Akane, Yuzuru, and Kane. I want to trust them, and I want them to trust me, Izuku said. I understand. I just hope that it all goes well. It'll be fine, Izuku reassured her. I trust them. So, what has happened with the Erluktitan ever since that day? To start with, the organization had swelled in number after its official establishment, now numbering around 50,000 members. Izuku felt shocked at how much the organization expanded over such a short period of time. A major factor to this was what Izuku did after the death of Yoroi Musha as Verbot der Morgendämmerung. Doing what vigilantes do best, which is killing villains and criminals. A lot of them. Due to the chaos caused by the death of the #9 hero, many villains came out of the woodwork to wreak havoc, and while All Might did his absolute best to solve this, the Harbinger came out of the limelight as well, which is what the public called Izuku since the name Verbot der Morgendämmerung is hard to pronounce for the normal citizens. The Harbinger quickly became an infamous vigilante, leaving a trail of dead villains in his wake as he slaughtered his way through criminal syndicates, saving as many innocents as he could in the process. It quickly made him a sort of boogeyman for villains, as even his name leaves them shaking in their boots. It was said that the moment the Harbinger was officially sighted in a city, the villains in the area all surrender to the police in droves, stating that being imprisoned is a better outcome for them than being massacred by the vigilante. Due to this, as well as the fact that he seemed to be competing for All Might and becoming a deterrent for villains, he became known as a sort of antithesis for All Might, the symbol of fear. He also seemed to be particularly against quirk supremacist groups who had committed crimes against those less fortunate and quirkless. Whenever he targets these groups of people, he leaves nothing but destruction, as if sending a message to others like them. This inevitably led to many quirkless as well as those that are ostracized for their quirks joining Verbot's cause, and became a direct cause for the Erluktitan's massive increase in number. Despite this exponential rise, though, Izuku knew that this was simply an illusion. Most who join Erluktitan are ordinary civilians, unfit for the violent revolution that Izuku was hoping for. The actual number of people that are fit for combat among the Erluktitan are closer to around 10,000, which is still a lot, but is still not enough. But Izuku was aware that the organization was still in its preparation phase. Izuku had been extremely clear to the Erluktitan to go on standby and to not do anything extreme for now, meaning that only he, Vorbode, as well as his close associates, had committed any crime amongst the entire Erluktitan, causing the police and the heroes to be paralyzed in moving against the group since, technically speaking, they haven't committed any crime. Izuku also knew that he needed to establish not only a chain of command, but a group of elite members in the group that could handle bigger responsibilities as well as more powerful opponents. This is why he wants to meet with the three right now to discuss this. It is a pleasure to meet you once more, Sir Vorbode. Akane greeted Izuku as he entered the secret meeting room. It is indeed a pleasure, Akane, he replied, taking the form of a brown-haired man with gray robes like that of a mage, holding a long black staff with a large blue jewel inside of it. I assumed that you wanted to meet me regarding that issue you brought up to us last week? Regarding the need for elite members for Erluktitan, yes, he answered. In the future, heroes and villains may try and stop us, so we need to make sure that we have the forces necessary to stop them. That's actually a good point, Yuzuru said. There are so many members, though. Akane groaned, realizing the hard work that she needs to put in to pick these elite members that Izuku needed. Don't worry, I will help you with the process, Izuku said. Before that, though, I need to tell you the truth about myself. After he said this, the familiar white mist covered Izuku, and he transformed back into normal, stunning the three as they see a green-haired boy similar in age to Kane and Hamura standing in front of them with a sharp look on his face. My name is Midoriya Izuku, and this is my story. This is fascinating, Akane remarked, gobsmacked by the story. Both your quirk and your past. Your quirk is so cool, Kane said happily. Izuku had told them about the truth regarding his quirk and his past life, just as he did with Itsuka and Hamura. As Izuku expected, they didn't have any negative reaction towards the truth, though of course, they were shocked. Izukuni-ai really is cool, Hamura also said excitedly, much to the exasperation of Izuku. She's usually a serious and responsible individual until she starts talking about me. Izuku found it adorable, to be honest. Though he wasn't completely certain, Izuku had a guess that Hamura may have had a crush on him. It was understandable, given how he treated her since they became friends, but unfortunately for the dual-colored haired girl, Izuku doesn't see her as a love interest. Yet, Izuku was aware that he could fall for her in the future, and he wasn't going to fall for the angst that most reincarnators he sees in fiction regarding love interests falls into. So how is your quirk going to help us? Yuzuru asked. Izuku simply smiled and became covered in that white mist again. This time, he transformed into someone that Izuku often transforms into. A white green-haired girl with fair skin, pointed ears, and large green eyes with blooming flower pupils. Before anyone could react, Akane immediately scooped up Izuku and began hugging him tightly while rubbing their cheeks together. You're Sisi, she screamed, fawning over the transformed Izuku. I forgot that Akaneizan liked cute things. Kane chuckled as the black-haired quirkless girl who was always so formal and respectful hugged and fawned on Izuku incessantly. Izuku felt himself being crushed by the girl's well-endowed chest, but he decided not to pay it any mind, thankful that his body wasn't undergoing puberty yet. Please let go of me, Akane, Izuku said. My apologies, Sir Vorbode, she said as she hurriedly put Izuku down. I can understand. Nahida is adorable, he said. That is besides the point. I need to use my abilities to screen the possible applicants. He then explained the power of this particular transformation to the three, since they were unaware. By the end of it, they were once again shocked by the realization of just how powerful Izuku's quirk is. That will make things easier for us, Yuzuru said. How are you going to do this? Izuku then cleared his throat and began explaining how the chain of command will work within the organization. I was thinking of having 4 ranks within the organization: Morgan Arbiters and the Morgan Soldats, which are going to be the rank-and-file members of the group, divided into the workers and the soldiers respectively. Then there are the Morgenritter, the elite soldiers, and the ones that will lead the soldats and arbiters in the field. And finally, the Morgen marshals, the leaders of the group working directly under the Vorbot. He explained, maybe I should also have an intelligence gathering and assassination group directly under me. Maybe something called Naktrader or something like that. You know, I've been wanting to ask you this question for a long time now, izuku. Why German? Hamura asked. Izuku scratched his cheek in embarrassment. I'm a big fan of the aesthetic of the Wandenreich, he muttered. I think they're cool. Hamura sighed, totally not thinking that the Espada were cooler. Anyway, we will only be recruiting Morgenritters, since it is already decided that you four would be the Morgen marshals. Izuku announced, surprising everyone in the room. Are you sure that's a good idea, Izuku? Hamura said. You four have been working closely with me since the Erluktitan had been officially established. Izuku explained. Hamura is literally the first member of the organization. Akane is basically the leader of almost all of the quirkless individuals in the organization. Yuzuru has shown charisma before and is basically the oldest person in this room at 26, and Kanae is shown to be popular within the younger members of Erluktitan. In short, all of you are qualified for this. Besides, being a Morgen Marshal and a Morgenritter isn't a permanent rank. It can change. How do you rank individuals within these elite groups, though? Yuzuru asked. A combination of merit, loyalty, and power, Izuku said. Unfortunately, when we rank the Morgenritters we recruit, we'll only be basing them off of loyalty and power, considering that there is no way to test out merit when it comes to the members, since I ordered them to go on standby. That's understandable, Akane replied. Now then, I'll screen all the applicants for you. Then you interview them at a later date, possibly within the week. Izuku said, I'll also limit myself to 20 possible applicants for now, with 10 slots. Then we'll recruit more later if necessary. Yes, sir. That was difficult. After a long and exhausting process, Izuku had managed to narrow down his applicants to the 20 that he desired for now. The interview was next. He invited the rest of the newly appointed Morgen marshals, though they are covered by a sheet for now for secrecy, and proceeded to interview the individuals. And since I'm too lazy to narrate the whole thing, here's a summary. First, Izuku had transformed into a certain black-haired boy that can use the power of Geas to make sure that the interviewees told him the truth about their motives. It was effective, given that 4 out of the 20 interviewees were all killed on the spot because they had very negative intentions to the organization, ranging from saboteurs to government spies to just quirk supremacists. The young Harbinger even had the bright idea to send pictures of the dead bodies to possible traitors in the organization as warning. With that out of the way, he proceeded to interview the remaining 16 interviewees, and surprisingly enough, all of them had passed the interview. Unfortunately for them, Izuku only needed 10 Morgenritters as well as 2 Naktrader, but fortunately for them, Izuku just put them as reserve for now, only letting them officially join when the members of the Erluktitan grew even larger in number. Those 12 interviewees that passed were as follows. Erste Morgenritter. Tsutsumi Kana, quirk, rifle. Age, 33. Lady Nagant, huh? This was the one name that Izuku didn't expect would appear. After the recent incident in which she killed the current HPSC president, she went on the run and was secretly declared as a villain. Officially, she only went MIA. According to the former hero, she had only been on a run for a few weeks when she joined Erluktat, and is hoping that this organization will finally destroy the hero society that she hated so much. Given both her loyalty to the cause as well as her prowess as a combatant, she quickly skyrocketed to the Erste position, which is the highest possible rank. Zweit Morgenritter. Hakai Hoshi, quirk, supernova. Age, 11. A girl near Izuku's age, at 11 years old. She was the youngest member of the Morgenritters currently, but she was put into this rank for a reason. Simply put, her quirk was ridiculously powerful. Her quirk lets her turn herself into a living star, as well as produce and manipulate plasma however she likes. He's even seen her create a miniature star, and according to Hoshi, she can make those stars explode like a supernova. If she was allowed to train with her quirk further, she could become extremely powerful. So why was such a powerful individual joining her Luktitan? Well, Hoshi discovered her ability to make explosions using her stars at the cost of her classmates' lives. Before that incident, she was celebrated by her classmates and the teachers as the next hero, much to the delight of Hoshi. Unfortunately for her, one disgruntled and psychotic teacher who was jealous of her for her powerful quirk decided to interfere with her practicing her quirk in hopes of killing her. While the culprit failed in that regard, the explosion caused some of her classmates to die. Thankfully, the teacher was arrested early enough, but the incident left a stain on Hoshi's conscience, as well as her reputation. The similarities between her and Hoshi caused Hamura to become fast friends with the Star Girl. This also caused Hoshi to become extremely loyal to the cause of the Erluktet and of Izuku's, which allowed her to get the rank of Zweit. Drit Morgenritter. Hayano Hikaru quirk, Light Beam. Age, 20. When he was asked why he joined the Erluktetin, he simply stated that he wanted to help people and change society for the better, without having the media glorifying him. He was a humble, kind man that just wanted to help, something that slightly surprised Izuku, given the nature of Erluktetin. He warned him that the Erluktetin is a vigilante organization, and Hikaru said that he didn't mind at all, even joking that they wouldn't be able to catch me anyway, given my quirk. Hikaru's quirk allows him to turn into a light beam and move near the speed of light. The downside to this is that he can only move at one direction with the quirk, and he can only change directions as a light beam through reflective surfaces. Izuku did say that he could probably change directions by changing back into his normal form, then in his light beam form in quick succession. Viert Morgenritter. Shirori Yuki, quirk, Snow. Age, 17. Yuki was a warm and gentle teenager and, like Hikaru, only wanted to help the less fortunate and the oppressed. She had expressed her disappointment regarding Hero Society, but she said that she never really had a negative experience about it. She did also say how cool vigilantes are in her opinion, and because of her quirk that allows her to produce and control snow, she was given the rank of Viert. Izuku also privately noted to himself how her control of snow was very similar to a certain Senbenzakura. Funft Morgenritter. Mugen Takashi, quirk, No Limits. Age, 19. Takashi was a 19-year-old normal college student that was disgruntled by society. His mother had died from a plane hijacking gone wrong, which was caused by the incompetence of the heroes that were present at the situation. What made him angry was the fact that the incident was basically swept under the rug, and the heroes that caused her mother's death were only given a slap on the wrist for their actions. This made him hate Hero Society with a passion, and he immediately tried to join Erluktetin when he heard of its existence. This person was incredibly interesting to Izuku, and that was because of his quirk. His quirk, No Limits, allows him to remove the limitations of a quirk or simply improve a quirk for a limited amount of time. While it was useless in a direct combat situation, it is incredibly useful as a support to others, considering that he can give a temporary boost to a quirk. Due to the fact that he isn't a reliable fighter, but simply a support, he was ranked this way. Still, Izuku couldn't deny his potential and his usefulness. Sext Morgenritter. Amai Haruka, quirk, Sweets. Age, 21. Another person that only wanted to save people and help others. In all honesty, Izuku was surprised at how many of the interviewees joined Erluktetin because they wanted to save people. He believed that he was going to deal with a lot of people that are disgruntled with Hero Society, so the fact that there were many who simply wanted to help others warmed his heart. Still, he had to warn them that being a member of the Erluktetin, specifically being a member of the higher ranks like the Morgenritters, isn't light work. She is going to have to kill people at some point. Haruka said that she didn't mind, though she did say that with her quirk, it would be nearly impossible for her to kill anyone. Her quirk allows her to turn anything into something made up of a sweet treat, like candy or mochi, and control it. While it sounds weak at first, if mastered properly, it can turn into a powerful weapon. That is why she is ranked sext. Siet Morgenritter. Shiki Akira, quirk, Siphon. Age, 21. Out of everyone so far, Shiki Akira may have the most traumatic experiences out of everyone in the Morgenritters currently. Honestly, Even Izuku felt sick when hearing his story. I won't go into detail, but imagine Eri's childhood. But instead of being experimented upon, he was, well, violated for a total of 15 years of his life. He was actually saved by Izuku about 7 months ago when he destroyed the criminal organization that he was being confined into. Out of gratitude, he joined the organization, hoping to change society for the better so that people like him wouldn't need to suffer like that. Izuku was surprised yet impressed that a person who has suffered so much could still be a good person. Izuku really wanted to give him a higher rank, but he still knew that his trauma was still holding him back. Especially with how powerful his quirk is, being able to absorb stamina from others and use it to increase his physical abilities, he is more than deserving to be in the top ranks. Acti Morgenritter. Danjuro Tabita, quirk, elasticity. Age, 28. Note Morgenritter. Manami Iba, quirk, love. Age, 17. Two more familiar faces that Izuku did not expect to see in Erluktitan. Izuku knew that these two weren't really bad people, but he was curious as to why these two joined Erluktitan. It turned out that the two were already planning to be criminals before they heard of the existence of Erluktitan, but after hearing of its lofty goals to change society, they decided to join in hopes of gaining a reputation for themselves. Izuku knew deep down that they wanted to be save people as well and become heroes, but he knew that they wouldn't admit to that. While these two are certainly powerful, their lack of loyalty, for now, led to them being ranked low as Morgenritters. Zent Morgenritter. Osor Yasuka, quirk, terror manifestation. Age, 15. Another girl that was bullied due to a so-called villainous quirk. After her quirk manifested, which caused a mass panic on her school, she quickly became ostracized by her peers. Her quirk allows her to create illusions of a person's greatest fear. These illusions cannot physically interact with the environment, but they can fool almost all of the senses besides touch. The quirk can also manifest entire events, which was demonstrated when she showed Izuku his greatest fear, isolation. Izuku was very frank in saying that he was glad that she didn't fall into the enemy's side, and he was grateful that Yasuka still had a good heart despite all that has happened to her. She was quickly inducted into the Morgenritters, though of course because she didn't have real combat ability, she was the lowest ranked of the Morgenritters so far. As for the Nactritters, Ersten Nactritter. Sora Masaki, quirk, glitch. Age, 20. This guy hated quirk supremacists, plain and simple. According to him, his ancestors were a victim of Destro's reign of terror back in the day, so he disliked anyone that has his ideology. He was a staunch follower of Izuku's cause for an equal and harmonious society, so when he was offered to work directly under him as an intelligence agent, he didn't even hesitate to say yes. His quirk was also powerful as well. It allowed him to trigger common video game glitches in reality, like clipping into walls and the floor, as well as lagging. This made him a tricky opponent to deal with, perfect for an assassin/spy like a Nactritter, earning him the rank of Ersta. Zweit Nactritter. Kokon Megumi, quirk, karmic exchange. Age, 13. Megumi had actually been homeless when she joined Erluktet because her family was killed by a villain. The reason that she was alive was that her quirk had saved her. Her quirk, karmic exchange, allows her to essentially switch the present fate of two people. For example, she can exchange people's quirks, mental state, or even physical state. She said that, theoretically, she can revive a dead person by exchanging its fate with a person who was currently alive, though of course the person had to be recently deceased. She exchanged fates with the villain, killing her family, killing the villain in the process while saving her life. Unfortunately, she had no other living relatives, which meant that she was living on her own until the Erluktitan came along. Because of that fateful day, she swore vengeance on all villains, hoping to delete them from the face of the earth. Given the nature of the Erluktitan, she fit right in perfectly and led her to being recruited as a Nactritter by Izuku. As for the reserves, they will be revealed once they have properly joined the organization. Overall, Izuku was relieved that everything had went well, and now the Erluktitan stands a better chance at achieving their goals. Relaxing Izukuni-ai? As Izuku sat on his chair, relieved that he can finally take a break after the interview. He saw Hamura approaching him, bringing tea on a tray. "Yes, I am. Thanks for the tea, Homura-kun," he said. "Why don't you sit down and enjoy the tea with me?" "I will," she replied as she sat down on one of the couches on the room. A comfortable silence settled in the room as the two drank their refreshments. After a few minutes, Hamura spoke up. "We've come far, haven't we, Izuku-ni? Ever since that day you saved me." Izuku smiled at the memory. It really had been a long time ever since they first met. It was a fond memory that he'll always look back on. "It has," Izuku replied. "I remember you trying to devour my homemade rice balls at such an alarming rate back then. I thought you were going to get fat from all of the rice balls you ate." "Hey," Hamura pouted. "Those rice balls were delicious, you know?" "Yeah, I'm truly proud of them." He chuckled. "Frankly, it was amazing how much this organization that I had built was growing. It just speaks to how popular your cause is underneath the surface. A numerous amount of people really wants true change within society right now, and you're promising that change." "Yeah, I'm just stunned," he admitted. "I never thought it would grow that fast. It's quite the problem, huh?" "True," Hamura nodded. Izuku began to think. The boy had suspected that All for One may have something to do with the festering problems that hero society had under the surface. After all, the villain was incredibly cunning and manipulative. He probably worsened all those problems so that Japan will be much quicker to fall into instability and chaos. However, that just made it easier for Izuku to accelerate his own plans against him. "Heh, take that, potato head. Now that I think about it, I never actually properly asked why you decided to create this organization in the first place." Hamura asked. "Ah, that." Izuku had actually informed her of his dealings with me alongside the reincarnation in the original timeline, but he had never properly explained his true motives as to why he went with this direction. "There are two reasons why I wanted to create or Looktaten," he said while showing two fingers to Hamura. "One was to make sure that All Might's legacy is destroyed in a much less destructive manner, and second, I wanted to honor the original Midoriya Izuku." "Honoring the original?" Hamura raised her eyebrows. "The original Izuku was quirkless," he revealed, causing the girl to gasp in shock. "He was bullied, ostracized, and belittled by his peers until he received All Might's quirk, One for All. That's why I created this organization, to provide a comfortable and safe world for people like the original Izuku." "I see. Wait, All Might's quirk," she said. "Yeah, you know what? I should fill you in on a lot of things," Izuku said. "I have to fill in Itsuki-kin too." With that, he told her an overview of a lot of the important stuff in the original story, One for All for One, the MLA, and some important future events like Kamino. "That is, indeed, very important information." Hamura sipped her tea. "Thank you for filling me in more regarding this." "You're a friend, Homura-kun," he said. Izuku noticed Hamura's expression drooping slightly at this. "Friend, huh?" she muttered. "I really don't want to deal with this nonsense. I guess I just have to bite the bullet with this one. Be honest, Homura-kun. Do you have feelings for me?" Hamura almost spit out her tea at Izuku's question. "What's with the question, Izuku-ni?" she asked, while blushing. "I don't want to deal with any will they, won't they nonsense when it comes to romance," Izuku admitted. "We're just about to enter puberty again, or in my case re-enter puberty, and I don't want to deal with all the complicated teenager romance stuff." "Quite blunt, aren't you?" she said, still blushing. "You asked me that question out of nowhere." "Sorry about that, but I really want to know," he said. "I understand," she replied, her blush intensifying in her face. "I guess. I do like you romantically, though I don't think it's intense enough that I can consider it love. That has to be one of the most formal love confessions I have ever seen." Izuku teased her. "Please don't say that. Since you confessed to me, I guess I just have to answer, don't I?" Izuku said. Hamura perked up at this, seemingly excited to find out the answer. "So what do I think of her?" Izuku then tried to think of Hamura as a member of the opposite sex. To him, she was adorable, hardworking, serious, respectful, and kind-hearted. She was also extremely mature for her age, to the point that Izuku almost suspected that she was a reincarnation. In all honesty, the only thing that was preventing him from actually liking her romantically was the age, and that could change in time. He then tried to imagine her dating another man, and the thought of it was so unpleasant that he unconsciously released Conqueror's haki. Yuyua Izukunii. Your haki, the dual-tone girl said. Ah, sorry about that. An unpleasant thought just came into my mind is all. He answered. Unpleasant thought? Yeah, you dating another guy. Hamura was silent at first, but then she began blushing even more furiously. I guess I do have feelings for you after all, Izuku said. Though, we can't really enter in a relationship like that right now. We need to focus. I understand, Izukunii, she said while smiling. Even though the conversation ended in an awkward manner, they both felt closer to one another. Izuku did have one thought, though. I am not a lolicon. I am not. Am I late, Itsuka-kun? Izuku asked as he approached the orange-haired girl. Itsuka simply smiled. Not at all. You're right on time, actually. A day has passed since the meeting with Hamura yesterday, and now, it was time for Izuku and Itsuka to hang out. Izuku observed her expression, as well as the situation they are in, and sighed. If this turned into a goddamn harem, I'm going to cry. I just confronted Homurakin's feelings yesterday. Out of happiness or out of sadness? Both. Even after the establishment of the Erluktitan, Itsuka and Izuku's relationship continued to develop. They mostly trained together, though their spars mostly consisted of Itsuka getting her ass kicked by Izuku. Still, it was a good experience for Itsuka for fighting opponents stronger than her. Outside of this, they simply hung out together like normal friends would. They did talk a lot about Izuku's past life, though, as it was a fascinating topic for Itsuka. Izuku felt guilty keeping secrets to the girl, considering the promise they made together to become heroes. He thought of Itsuka as a genuine friend, and he cared about her deeply. Keeping secrets like this to her grated his soul. Izukunii, are you all right? You look unwell. Itsuka asked as she stared at Izuku's face. Ah, no, I'm all right. He quickly replied. I'm just thinking about some things. Can you tell me what you're thinking about? Sorry, personal stuff. He vaguely replied. Izuku noticed Itsuka pouting. You and Hamura really likes to hide secrets now, don't you? She said. Izuku raised his eyebrows as he feigned confusion. Secrets? I'm pretty sure Hamura is a part of Erluktitan. For his part, Izuku remained composed. He had already anticipated that if anyone is going to suspect Hamura's involvement, it would be Itsuka. Why do you think that? Her experience in the past makes her a perfect fit for an Erluktitan member, considering their ideals. Itsuka said. Plus, I saw her hanging out with some quirkless people a few days ago. There's nothing wrong with it, of course, but people ignore quirkless people most of the time, you know? Besides, Hamura seemed to be a big fan of Verbot der Morgendämmerung. Izuku, knowing Hamura's crush on him, sighed at the last part. I mean, maybe she's just an Erluktitan fangirl? Izuku said. It's possible, but I'm betting that she's a member of Erluktitan instead. What do you think of the Erluktitan, Itsuka? Izuku asked. I mean, they're not that bad, I guess. She said. I understand where they're coming from, and it would be really nice if the world they're advocating for came into reality. But they're vigilantes, you know? Would you have hated Hamura if she was a member of Erluktitan? No, the girl replied. I can understand why she would join, and she needs more people that care about her besides either of us. I just hope that the Erluktitan aren't secretly evil or something. No, they aren't. He blurted out, before covering his mouth. Itsuka narrowed her eyes in suspicion. And why do you sound so sure of that, Izukunii? She asked. Izuka knew that there was no point in lying to Itsuka, so he decided to simply scratch his head sheepishly. Why don't we continue this conversation somewhere private? Itsuka's eyes narrowed further, but decided to oblige Izuku's request. They then moved to a secluded part of the park they were currently in. After both of them sat down, Itsuka spoke. Izukunii, are you a member of Erluktitan? She asked bluntly. No, the boy looked at his friend with a determined and sincere gaze. I am the leader of Erluktitan, Verbot der Morgendämmerung. The story Izuku told Itsuka stunned her. The war, the destruction of hero society, the deaths of many people. It was too much for her to process. She was on the verge of tears by the time Izuku finished his story. Izuku didn't say anything after that, content on waiting for Itsuka's reaction. The girl couldn't exactly get angry at Izuku, nor could she hate him for what he was doing. He knew the horrible things that are going to happen in the future, and he wants to change it for the better, saving a lot of people in the process. He was as every bit as heroic as any hero out there, including All Might himself. It didn't matter to her if he was a vigilante or not. It didn't even matter to her if he was currently a vigilante. She had already realized that, although unconventional, he never once reneged on his promise that they would be heroes together. He just wouldn't become a hero in the traditional sense. Still, one question was burning on her mind. Did you just want to become friends with me because you want me to become the successor to One for All? Itsuka had deduced this when Izuku told her about the quirk. After all, Izuku himself was not an option, and he had said that the original Midoriya Izuku and her didn't even see each other until the UA Sports Festival. The fact that Izuku went out of his way to move into the city she lived in and go to the school she attends and made it obvious what his intentions are. Itsuka wanted to know whether his hand of friendship was simply a facade and that he was actually just using her as a tool for his own gain. It's frankly complicated, Izuku answered. I would be lying if I said no, but that doesn't mean that I am using you or anything. I do see you as a genuine friend after all. Besides, you can refuse it. Yeah, if you don't want it, I'll just find another one who is worthy of the quirk besides you. I won't abandon our friendship even if you refused, Izuku assured her. But isn't it a waste if you just decided to find another one after spending so much time with me? Nonsense, Izuku denied. There's no way it's a waste of time hanging out with a beautiful girl like you. What he got in response to that was a giant fist to the face, courtesy of a blushing Itsuka. Aren't you supposed to be 18 years old mentally? Why are you saying that to a 10-year-old like me? But I was just telling the truth, though, Izuku said as he got up. Regardless, as I said, it wasn't a waste of time at all. I'm glad that you became my friend, Itsuka-kun. Itsuka blushed even more at that, but she simply thanked Izuku. In fairness, though, I would never refuse All Might's quirk, she admitted. So how are you going to make All Might notice me? Don't worry, I have a plan for that. Izuku grinned. Itsuka felt a chill down her spine as she saw that grin. You know, a hero should never have a grin like that. This feels too extreme, Izukuni. Hamura sighed. Yeah, this is. Akane also sighed. Izuku and his Morgan marshals were currently having a meeting discussing that plan right now. It's been a month ever since that time with Itsuka, and he had finished refining his plan to talk to All Might. I suppose you have a proper explanation for this? Yuzuru asked Izuku. Yes. Izuku began to explain. Right now, I am sure that All Might wants to speak with me about my activities. This is the best way to do that. By fighting each other? Izukuni, this is not some shonen anime. My power is literally derived from anime, Hamura, but that is besides the point. Izuku sighed. If people found out that All Might communicated with a criminal like me in a civil manner, his haters would grab on to that news like moths to a flame, and that would ruin his reputation. So you have to pretend that you're fighting while you're actually talking, Kane said. Well, we probably will actually fight, since I doubt All Might is happy with my actions. You mean Yoroimusha? Akane said, disgust clear in her face. Nobody knew about his supposed crime besides us. Izuku said, for all they know, I killed Yoroimusha unjustifiably. So you're going to invite the Morgan Ritters, right? About more than half of them, yes. Maybe the Erste, Dritt, Viert, Sext, Acti, Nunt, and Zent Morgan Ritters will be invited. You're going to leave Hoshi, Akira, and Takashi out of this? Akane asked. It would be too overkill if I brought all of them. I'm also going to be bringing you and Hamura in this mission as well. Izuku informed the two. Why me? Isn't Hamura enough for this mission? Akane asked. They may bring Eraserhead to this mission. Izuku replied. If that's the case, you're the perfect counter for him. I see. Well then, orders received, serve or boat, she said enthusiastically. I will do my best as well, Izukuni. Hamura replied. Very well then, we will commence this operation in 3 days, so be ready everyone. Yes, sir. This reeks of a trap, All Might. The number 4 pro hero, Best Jeanist, expressed his concerns to the symbol of peace. I am aware of that, Jeanist, All Might replied. However, This is a chance that we cannot miss. This is why I assembled these heroes to come with me on this raid. There were many heroes in the meeting discussing their upcoming raid on the Erluktet. All Might, Best Jeanist, Edshot, Ryukyu, Eraserhead, Crust, and Mirko, alongside many policemen, were all assembled to catch and subdue the infamous Vorbot der Morgen Dämmerung and his subordinates in the Erluktetan. They managed to get a hold of intel from an anonymous source regarding their own raid on a criminal syndicate on a residential compound a few kilometers away, so the number one hero decided to act and assemble these heroes in order to arrest the vigilante that had been very active in recent times. I agree with Jeanist. This is most certainly a trap, All Might. Ryukyu expressed her concerns as well. That is why we must be prepared, he exclaimed. Considering the destruction that he causes every time he attacks, he probably has an extremely powerful quirk. That is why we must make sure to neutralize this threat as soon as possible, even if we may be being lured into a trap right now. So what's the plan, All Might? Eraserhead asked. We need to strike hard and fast while the Harbinger is busy with his own targets. All Might explained. We then attack the Harbinger together and don't give him any room to breathe. After that, we subdue him and arrest him for his crimes. You will be an integral part of this process, Eraserhead. The underground hero nodded. Now then, let us begin the discussions and preparations regarding this mission. This is the place? Eraserhead asked a nearby policeman. Yes, sir. This is the location described by the anonymous caller. The policeman replied, visibly wincing. I'm sure this is the right place. I mean, do you hear those screams of agony? Eraserhead sighed as he could clearly hear the pained cries of the criminals inside, courtesy of Vorbot. This guy's going to be troublesome, I can already tell, he muttered. Everyone, at my signal, we will begin the attack. The heroes all prepared themselves, ready to confront the symbol of fear. Eventually, the tortured screams in the compound subsided, then, charge! All Might signaled, causing the operation to begin in earnest. The pro-heroes sprinted fearlessly towards the house where they suspect the Harbinger to be in. The policemen were moderately behind, causing them to be trapped when the floor turned white and sticky, preventing them from moving. What is this? I can't move. My feet are sticking to the ground all of a sudden. The police began to panic. As they looked around for the source, they noticed two people walking towards them. One was a pink-haired girl, wearing a toothy smile on her face, and was wearing what looked like a dark blue military tunic and dark blue combat pants and black boots. myheroacademia, sexed Morgenritter. The other one was a girl with long black hair that extended to her ankles and a pale, almost ghostly skin and face, with soulless black eyes. She was wearing dark blue robes that was covering her entire body, preventing anyone from seeing what she was actually wearing. Osor Yasuka, Zent Morgenritter. What horrified the policemen, though, were the horrible abominations that were following her around, ready to pounce on the terrified policemen. Surrender now, we don't want to hurt you, Yasuka said. She's right. We really don't want to fight you all, so please don't hate us. The policemen all turned to each other, and they all decided to stand down for now, as long as they were trapped. This, naturally, caused a stalemate to form between them. This is indeed a trap, huh? Correct. As All Might stared at Izuku and his subordinates, he began to prepare for an attack, as did the other heroes. They were all currently inside a massive warehouse that were filled with debris and dust caused by Izuku. While they hadn't received enough intel to determine whether the Vorbot was male or not, it surprised them to see a woman with white hair and piercing red eyes to greet them. This was Izuku transformed as a female character, a demon, to be precise. Izuku was wearing a dark blue military uniform with golden linings, complete with a golden epaulette and aiguillette. He was wearing a black trench coat over that uniform, which signified that he was indeed the infamous Harbinger. It is a pleasure to meet you in person, All Might, Izuku said calmly as the Morgenritters and Morgen Marshals, all wearing masks, and was also wearing a similar outfit to Izuku, a dark blue military uniform, though they are customized to various degrees. One had a pencil skirt on instead of pants. One had a sleeveless military tunic. Another was wearing a cape over the uniform. One was wearing short shorts and thigh-high socks, and another one was wearing a mini-skirt with stockings, also wearing a trench coat over the uniform. I see you've brought your subordinates here for boat. Of course, I cannot exactly fight you all together, can I? I simply know how to rely on my comrades. Izuku then clapped his hands, and his smile widened. Everyone, I want to talk to All Might in private. Can you all distract the other heroes? Be very welcoming to them. Instantly, the elite members of Erluktatin quickly picked a hero they will fight and separated them from All Might. Eventually, only All Might and Izuku were present in the spacious warehouse. Now then, I assume that you've heard all about my adventures before? Yes, we have heard of your escapades, and you saving multiple civilians, but that's about it. All Might replied. You could have been a great hero for boat. It's fine with me. I chose this path for myself. All Might then charged one for all throughout his body. It is a shame that you are a vigilante that has broken many laws. I am sure it would have been a pleasure to be your comrade. I am thankful for the sentiment, but the white mist covered Izuku, and he transformed into someone else. A girl with messy gray hair, yellow eyes, and it seemed that she was holding a baseball bat. A baseball bat that began crackling with energy. Rules are made to be broken. Chapter 4. The Enlightened Versus. The Heroes. A few minutes before the heroes entered the building, Izuku and the Morgenritters raided the compound as their plan indicated. While they were all running towards the main warehouse, killing many of the criminals along the way, Izuku was having a conversation with the vestiges of the characters he currently has right now. I assume you will be picking me for this particular job? I guess you're the one most suited for it, Testero Seizen. It's a pity that I wouldn't be able to taste these humans' souls. It would have been quite the feast otherwise. Just be satisfied that you get to massacre a whole bunch of filthy humans. I guess I should be. You know, this conversation is really creepy. Haha, I guess this should be expected of a demon like Testero Seizen. I do agree though. These humans are truly the scum of the earth. Must you shout so loudly, Yamato? So, Izuku-san, are you going to use my power? Sure thing. I look forward to it. After that little conversation, white mist began to cover Izuku, a sign of him transforming. Once he was done, he had transformed into one of the feared primordial demons, Testarossa. She's one of your transformations today, Izuku-ni? Hamura asked. Indeed. Izuku simply answered. Hamura shuddered, while the rest are confused. What is this transformation, Hamura? Akane asked. She comes from the light novel That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Hamura explained. Her name is Testarossa, one of the primordial demons, and is an incredibly powerful being capable of destroying entire armies with a single spell and destroy their souls like it was nothing. The rest of the Morgenritters all paled at this answer. Okay, I have just now realized how terrifying our leader's quirk is. The Drit Morgenritter, Hayano Hikaru, remarked. Truly a powerful ability. Danjuru Tabita, the acting Morgenritter, said. Please focus on the mission, Morgenritters. Izuku said, and they all continued making their way towards the warehouse. Yep, scary, Hikaru muttered. While I do not feel sorry for these criminals, their screams are incredibly dreadful to hear. Shirori Yuki agreed with Hikaru. It all started when Izuku and the others have finally entered the area. Before all of the criminals can even react, the Harbinger acted quickly, using the spell that massacred an entire army during a certain war in the light novel. Deathstreak. This spell, which bypasses all defenses, rewrites the genes of a body forcibly causing physical death, while at the same time pierces through and destroys the soul, causing spiritual death. Surviving this spell is impossible for any human being, and its range is extensive. This spell meant doom for all the criminals in the area, as both their bodies and souls were both horribly mangled by the spell, causing their deaths. No one in the enemy's side survived the spell. Everyone had perished. This act made all of the Morgenritters shiver, now being fully aware of the immense power that Izuku held within her fingertips. All of them swore to never betray her. Not that they had any intention of doing that in the first place. Now then, we shall wait for the arrival of the symbol of peace here. Then the next phase of the plan shall begin. All Might dodged once more as the baseball bat was swung towards his shoulder. The resulting shockwave of the blast caused the wall behind him to collapse. What is going on with this music? Izuku, who was now transformed into vessel of a Stellaron, charged up the baseball bat again, preparing an attack. All Might dodged it, while being very bewildered about the music being played. Quite the powerful transformation you have there, Harbinger, All Might remarked as he tried to punch Izuku in the face. The vigilante dodged the attack and swung her crackling weapon towards the hero's shoulder. All Might winced as the strike connected, but it did give him the opportunity to counterattack as he punched Izuku in the abdomen, causing her to be sent flying. This transformation is a lot more powerful than I thought. Izuku muttered. Is that an insult? It's a compliment. You could have finished this fight quickly enough if you didn't stop using my power, you know? I am not supposed to beat All Might, Testro Seizen. Frankly speaking, the goal of this fight is quite complicated. I am aware. Still, it is integral that this fight happens for as long as it is. I have 4 available characters right now besides yours, and I have extended the time limit of the characters to 20 minutes each because of constant training. Thankfully, I'm in extra state today, meaning that I have 5 characters today instead of the usual 4. That means I'll have just enough time to match All Might's time limit right now. Who will you be picking next after Stell, then? Yamato-san, you're up next. Oh, it would be an honor to fight All Might. As this conversation was going on, All Might and the Harbinger continued with their slugfest. After being sent to the wall, Izuku quickly dashed towards the symbol and attacked him with a flaming lance this time, wielding the power of preservation. All Might had no choice but to evade, judging that it would be too risky to block the attack. However, Izuku simply plunged the lance into the ground, and flames erupted from below All Might, causing him to be engulfed in it. All Might was surprised at how much the flames hurt. While his incredible durability prevented him from taking major damage, the flames still caused him a tremendous amount of pain, causing him to be stunned. Izuku took advantage of this and lunged at him with her lance. All Might barely evaded it, sidestepping out of the way as Izuku's attack left a trail of fire and an explosion from behind her. All Might tried to attack her with a Detroit Smash, but Izuku blocked it with the lance. The hero was surprised by how tough it was to punch Izuku, even though she was just blocking with a lance. Izuku took advantage of this once more, as she switched back to wielding the power of destruction on the spot, swinging her baseball bat crackling with energy towards the hero. All Might knew that it would be difficult to evade this, so he braced himself for the impact. The strike hits him, causing him to be sent flying towards one of the walls of the warehouse. Quite powerful indeed, All Might said as he stood back up again. Why don't you just leave and let us finish this business of ours, All Might? These criminals are rapists and pedophiles, scum of the earth that would be better off rotting in hell, Izuku said with scowl as she held her baseball bat aloft. Taking justice into your own hands is not the best way to do this, Harbinger, the hero screamed. Do you really believe that, All Might? Or are you simply saying that because of your duty? Izuku remarked. If All Might was being frank, he wanted to ignore this intel and let Harbinger do what he wanted here. After the killing of All for One, he was a lot more open to taking out those villains and criminals that committed incredibly heinous crimes. He knew that these criminals deserved to die, and that killing them would mean that they wouldn't be able to hurt anyone ever again. Still, he has his duty as a symbol, and he has to fulfill it. To be honest, I am more than happy to leave you alone. However, this is my duty as the symbol of peace. I see. Izuku sighed. In that case, this is my duty as the Harbinger of Dawn, to bring about change in this world. I will not let anyone stop me from doing this, not even you, the hero that I admire. All Might chuckled before assuming a stance. There were no words needed after that. Only the fight remained. And they did fight. Fist and bat clashed in an awesome display of power. Neither side were budging an inch, as the two continued to attack and defend against each other. Izuku found himself very hard-pressed. He realized that this All Might was closer to his prime than he was during the beginning of canon, and the All Might at beginning of canon can change the goddamn weather with a punch. About 15 minutes later in the clash, and Izuku found that her time limit for Stell was running out. Yamato-san, it's time. Finally, it's time for me to fight. Izuku then began to get covered with mist as All Might stopped, trying to catch his breath from the intense battle earlier. The hero knew that he needed the rest, as the fight is about to become even more intense. The mist disappeared, and the figure standing in front of him was different from earlier. This time, it was a tall woman with two horns sticking out of the side of her head. Their hair was white with bluish ends, and they were holding a kanabo in their hands as it crackled with black lightning. Come, All Might, let us continue this duel. Ryukyu was having a harder time than she initially thought. When one of the Harbinger's subordinates separated her from All Might, she expected an easier fight. After all, she was a top-ranked hero, and from the looks of it, this was a kid. While she wanted to address the fact that a kid was working for a vigilante, she decided to do that once this raid was finished. For now, she needed to take care of the girl first. And this led to her underestimating Kuroshiro Hamura. Big mistake. Kurohano no Yari. Black Fire Spear. A dense spear made of black flames erupted from Hamura's right side, and she threw it right at the hero just as she got close. Of course, Hamura toned it down so that the burn wouldn't kill the hero if it hit directly. Ryukyu proceeded to evade the hit, but it still managed to graze her. It was painful, excruciatingly so. The hero shuddered at what would have happened had she actually received that attack Hiden, but she continued fighting. She tried to punch the Erste Morgen Marshal directly in the stomach, but the girl simply blocked it using her white flames, causing the hero to wince in pain over the hot white flames. Shiroi Hano no Manto. White Flame Cloak. Hamura covered her entire body in white flames, except her head. This caused her to look like she was wearing the white flames as a coat. The girl then produced more black flames from her right hand and compressed it until it was as small as a softball. She threw that softball-sized flame at Ryukyu, who quickly dodged it. Unfortunately for her, Hamura can manipulate the flame she produces, so it was easy for her to control the ball to return to her like a boomerang. Kuro Hano no Bakudan. Black Flame Bomb. The flame exploded on Ryukyu's back, causing her to scream out in shock. The hero was surprised at how much control she had at such a young age. How can you do that? Ryukyu asked as she struggled to stand. My lack of control with my fire caused the end of someone's life. I refused to let that happen again, which is why I tried really hard to control my fire. Borbatini also helped me a lot, Hamura answered. The hero felt pity for the girl, who was no doubt traumatized by such an experience. That last statement also made it clear to Ryukyu why this girl was following the Harbinger. To be honest, if it wasn't our job to capture you, I would have left you well alone, Ryukyu said. These criminals can just rot in hell and die. I'm glad that you feel the same way. Hamura wasted no time and began to run towards the hero since she was stunned. Ryukyu was prepared, though, and dodged her attack as she countered with a punch of her own. While she did manage to Hamura, the white flames prevented her from doing any lasting damage. Those flames are troublesome. I need to transform, after all. She tried to transform into dragon form to gain an advantage over Hamura, but she quickly realized that transforming was actually a mistake when the girl smiled and black flames began to expand from her hand. Kuro Hiken. Black Fire Fist. Hamura bellowed as a massive torrent of black flames erupted from her fist and shot towards the draconic hero. She then braced for impact as the huge pillar of flames shot towards her. This, however, was not enough as the flames struck her, causing immense searing pain. She barely bit back a scream as she tried to hit the girl. Hamura was nimble, though. After sparring so many times against Izuku and his different transformations, she was unfazed by the hero's actions. She simply evaded the claw coming for her and used white flames to further protect her. She did make sure to decrease the output of the black flames to make sure that Ryukyu doesn't burn to death. Sure enough, while the hero was heavily injured, she wasn't in a critical condition. You are definitely a formidable opponent, Ryukyu remarked. I am thankful for the praise, Hamura said as she ignited her hand with black flames and fired it at the hero. The hero, knowing that blocking the flames would be a bad idea, dodged it. This attack was simply a distraction, though, as Hamura fired another spear of black flames towards one of Ryukyu's limbs. It's fortunate that I managed to eat enough flames today. I am more than prepared for a battle of attrition now. Ryukyu winced in pain at the vigilante's attack, but she kept trading blows with Hamura, trying to prevent her from using any powerful attack. The plan worked, but it allowed Hamura to fight longer, causing the battle between the two to continue raging. This is troublesome. Shota Aizawa, who was known as Eraserhead, was currently struggling against his opponent. During the initial encounter, one of the Harbinger's subordinates, the one wearing short shorts and thigh-high socks, went straight towards him. The girl was holding a sword in one hand and a pistol in the other, and she kicked him towards the outside of the warehouse. Eraserhead tried to use his capture scarf to incapacitate his enemy, but she quickly dodged the attack and fired her gun at him. He barely evaded the attack and quickly used his quirk on her. Unfortunately for him, the action didn't faze the girl as she slashed at him with her sword. Thankfully, he managed to dodge it, but now he was left feeling confused. Normally, when someone loses access to their quirk, it makes the villain sloppy, which easily leads to him subduing them. Even if they weren't relying on their quirks too much, the fact was that it would affect their fighting ability if they ever found themselves not being able to use their quirk. This wasn't the case for the girl, though. His opponent was not affected by his erasure, as she continued to engage him in combat. This made Eraserhead think of two possible answers. Either she never uses her quirk in combat, or "You're quirkless," Shota said out loud as she threw a throwing knife at his shoulder. You guessed it right. Akane shouted as she charged at him again with her sword. As he evaded her attack once again, she took the opportunity to shoot him point blank in the arm, something that he also evaded barely as well. I should have known that they would send a quirkless person against me. Shota sighed. He knew all about the ideology of the Erluktitan, so he should have known that they would have quirkless people amongst their ranks. However, that left him with another question. How did he know that I was coming? How did he even know about me in the first place? The hero had been very careful not to expose himself too much in the media, so the fact that the Harbinger knew about him was unsettling. Come on now, did you really think a vigilante like him wouldn't know about an underground hero like you, especially one that has a chance of actually defeating him? Akane replied as she continued slashing at the underground hero. Akane was lying. She knew that erasure wouldn't affect fiction reincarnation, given that it isn't actually a quirk. The reason why Izuku didn't want him using erasure on him was because he knew that he would suspect something was up and possibly reveal his own secrets to anyone he doesn't want it to. The fight then continued, with both not giving any ground. It wasn't a particularly flashy battle, given the nature of their fighting styles, but it was still a mesmerizing dance of fists and blades as the two tried to eke out a victory. What surprised Shota when they continued fighting was the fact that Akane was not trying to kill him. While she was trying to incapacitate him by slashing at his legs and arms, she wasn't aiming for vital spots at all. For a vigilante, you're being incredibly soft, he said as he once again used his capture scarf to subdue her. You haven't tried to kill me even once. Why the hell would I kill a great hero like you? Akane replied as she dodged that attack and tried to slash at him again with her sword at his right leg. Society needs heroes like you. Honestly, why don't you guys just leave us alone? Unfortunately, this is our job, Shota answered. Frankly, if you people hadn't killed these criminals, I'm sure I would have. It's a shame, really. The feeling is mutual, Akane shouted as she shot her pistol at the erasure hero. Shota dodged, but it left him wide open for a kick at the side, causing him to stumble sidewards. Shit, she's good. She must have had a lot of combat training to be able to fight like that. I need to be really careful here, Shota said as he prepared to engage the quirkless elite again. As the ice shard was thrown at All Might, he stared determinedly towards the massive white wolf in front of him before charging forward. Texas Smash. All Might punched at the wolf with incredible force, but the wolf simply turned back into its human form and dodged to the right. Then they used their weapon, a kanabo, and charged it with armament haki before striking All Might. However, All Might managed to block the attack. He was still sent flying by the strike, and a massive shockwave rippled out of the two as the weapon collided with the hero's arm. You are truly formidable, All Might. Come on, let us continue. So this is their quirk. They can transform into fictional characters and use their abilities. I never thought that I would be fighting someone like Yamato of all people. What a terrifying ability. One Piece was one of Toshinori Yagi's favorite manga, so for him to fight one of the characters in the story felt bizarre to him. He simply steeled himself to fight, considering how powerful Yamato is. The Kanabo Izuku was holding crackled with black lightning as they met All Might's fist, causing another shockwave to erupt the two combatants. The hero felt that the hit was incredibly heavy, but it wasn't something that he didn't expect. Damn it, armament hockey is going to make this a truly troublesome fight. All Might retreated to collect himself before attacking again, but Izuku was never going to give him that chance. They fired more ice shards at All Might to try and disorient him. Fortunately, he managed to dodge or block all of them, but it was still enough to create an opening for Izuku to strike at the hero, causing him to be sent flying by a Heiki-infused strike to the ribs. All Might then used another one of his moves to strike at Izuku. New Hampshire Smash. All Might used immense power to propel himself towards the vigilante, using his immense weight to launch a heavy attack at them. However, using observation hockey, Izuku was able to see this coming and blocked it with their kanabo, causing sparks of black lightning to appear from the collision. All Might wasn't done, though, as he showed a new move that Izuku hadn't seen before. Tennessee Smash. All Might used his elbow to strike at Izuku, who was behind him. The Harbinger was caught off guard by the move and was struck heavily in the stomach. Then All Might followed up with another Texas Smash, causing Izuku to jump away to retreat. I cannot underestimate All Might. I need to use Conqueror's hockey coating for this. Hybrid form as well. All Might watched in horror as he saw Izuku's weapon glow a yellowish-orange while the girl also transformed, assuming a wolf-like appearance. This is bad. Hybrid form and Conqueror's hockey coating. All Might charged forward, scared but determined to face the Harbinger. However, he was stopped in his tracks by a giant ice wall erected by Izuku. The vigilante then ran to the side, then towards All Might's rear to catch him off guard. But the hero instinctively blocked it, but the powerful attack damaged him to the point that he sensed some of the bones in his arm breaking. You are truly a formidable enemy, Harbinger. All Might shouted as he began to clash with Izuku, biting back the pain he feels each time the hits collide. I could say the same to you. It is truly unfortunate that things had to come to this. Izuku replied as they used their ice powers to augment their weapon. All Might winced even more as they continued to clash, but the hero persevered. The duel continued on, as the two titans continued to fight seriously against one another. While All Might was losing more and more ground as the battle went on, he didn't let that bother him. He was determined to win. Eventually, the time limit for Yamato's transformation ran out, with both fighters panting for their breath, though All Might looked worse for wear than Izuku. It's time, Yudison. Got it. White mist began to cover Izuku again. This time, his appearance changed to that of a young man with black hair, holding a katana in his hand. He was wearing a white long-sleeved shirt and black pants. A white-skinned creature appeared from behind him, hugging the man. All Might knew who this person was. He's also read the manga where this character came from. Yuto Okatsu. It is a shame that you have become a vigilante, Lady Nagant. You were a fine hero. If you've seen the things I have seen, Genist, you would do the same thing I did. Lady Nagant and Best Genist were currently engaging in a tense long-ranged battle, using their quirks to full effect. When the battle began, the rifle quirk user immediately singled out the hero, using her hair bullet to shoot him in the shoulder. Thinking quickly, the hero manipulated the fibers of his costume to make a makeshift bulletproof vest. Though it did manage to mitigate most of the damage, it still managed to hurt the pro hero, enough for Kana to charge at the hero to try and shoot him again. Best Genist acted quickly and ran away from the main warehouse in order to avoid the projectiles fired by Lady Nagant. The two continued the chase for a while, until Best Genist found the opportunity and tried to bind Lady Nagant using her own clothing. However, the vigilante was able to fire her rifle arm due to the fact that she was wearing sleeveless clothing, something that Best Genist noticed too late. Damn it, is this why she came after me? Genist did the same thing he did last time, but due to the fact that Lady Nagant was closer to her than earlier, the projectile hit a lot more. Honestly, I don't understand why you heroes would attack us while we eliminate this scum. Are you protecting them? We would never. Genist shouted in outrage. There was a reason why we attacked you after all of these criminals have been killed. If you didn't do it, I'm sure we would have. Yes, sure, you heroes that bathe in the admiration of the public will kill a bunch of criminals. Fat chance. She then used her rifle again to try and shoot him, but he barely dodged it by the skin of his teeth. Do you really think I would believe that you all have the balls to do such a thing? I hate to say it, but she's right. We would never have been allowed to kill them, even if we all wanted to. I want to ask you, Tsutsumi Kana, what made you join someone like the Harbinger? He asked as he tried to use the threads of his own fabric to try and bind Nagant, to no avail. Because he promises change to this sham of a society, Genist. This society that worships heroes because of their ignorance, thinking that they're all pretty and noble. She said, he promises a society of equality and transparency. A society where the quirked and the quirkless stands equal. A society where heroes actually save people instead of looking pretty in the camera. By destroying the peace that All Might created? Genist replied. You think this is peace? You're delusional, Genist. She said, firing more bullets at him. This peace is only maintained by oppressing people that this society deems as subhuman. If you think about it, the Hero Commission is ruling this country through tyranny, branding all those that oppose them and those who don't follow them as villains. It's a dystopian society, and people don't even see it as such. Genist balked at her assessment. Deep down inside, he knew she was right. While he knew that the HPSC isn't the bastion of virtue that they espouse themselves as, he didn't know the extent of their corruption. If what Nagant was saying is right, then this needs to be fixed. Right now, though, he has a duty to fulfill. Are you sure you're a vigilante? That's the first question you ask me. You hurt my feelings, Crust. Out of all of the fighting shown so far, the fight between the pro-hero Crust and the Drip Morgenritter is the fight with the least tension. Both hero and vigilante knew that they weren't going to kill the other, and the two didn't hate one another, so the two weren't really taking the fight as seriously as they should have. The pro-hero was impressed by how Hikaru was handling his quirk. From what he can see, the boy was a teenager that didn't even train at UA. For the vigilante to have a good handle with his quirk amazed him. Hikaru turned himself into a light beam and shot towards Crust, but the hero was prepared with a shield, so the attack virtually had no effect. The hero did feel the shock of the attack, though, which impressed the hero even further. Out of all the fights, this fight was the one where the two combatants were at a clear stalemate. Hikaru couldn't land a solid hit against Crust, while Crust couldn't get a good hit to Hikaru either due to the fact